Welcome back. We're going to talk about expanding on the initial persona that you built. I want you to think about who else might be a user of your product or service. And are their needs the same or different from the persona that you built out in the last module? Does your solution solve the same set of problems for them? What value do you bring to that persona that's unique to them? So, a few questions to ask yourself. Who else might be my user? What are their job titles? Where do they work? Are they the decision makers? How do they measure success for their job? How do they currently handle their current workflow? How do they solve for that problem that they've got? How do they do their job today? And really importantly, is there a large enough pool of ideal customers that I can target right now that maps to that persona? So if you've got a product that doesn't have a market, that's going to be a problem really, really quickly. When you think about failure of startups, often that market is a really challenging aspect of the business. This exercise is going to force you to think about that. So when you think about who else might be my user, I'm going to do a simple search. Remember, I believe that every email marketing manager wants to improve their key email metrics, open rates, click-through rates, open to click. So I want to find adjacent roles to that user. So I went on Google, I did an email marketer job title search, and boom, I've got a whole bunch of new ideas that I can put into my matrix. Who else might be my user? This is some of the examples that were spit up from Google. And then I did a little bit additional searching, and I found a resource online that walked me through the whole anatomy of an email marketing team. There's strategy and planning people, there's client services, there's email design and development, deliverability and compliance, and then platform innovation and development. So if you think of it this way, what persona more broadly does your product solve a solution to? Okay, so this is very specific to the email marketing team side, but it's likely that for your product or your service, you'll have a very similar ability to go and find that new user by looking at adjacent job titles. You first want to start to build a small list of these roles and titles because you can't really find the user until you understand what they do. So email marketing manager is my original hypothesis. I added email marketing strategist, director of email marketing, and then e-commerce marketing director. What types of places are they working at? So this is where you want to do some research on the types of companies that have roles like your persona works at. This is an example of LinkedIn Sales Navigator, where I search for one of my personas. In this case, it's email marketing strategist. And you can see that I've got 292,000 results that show up in people, although I'm sure there's not 292,000, or I don't think that there's that many, but there's still a really strong cohort here of potential leads. Director of email marketing, now I've got 1.8 million. So don't take this literally, right? You want to kind of look at it, eyeball it. Okay, yeah, there's a bunch of email marketers that actually happen to work and live around near where I work and live. Are they decision makers? Now, sometimes this is tricky. You're going to need to test your way to understanding whether or not your persona is a decision maker. And so I'll take my best guess initially. So is the email marketing specialist a decision maker? My product is $49. This is the first time when pricing really becomes a consideration, right? So the persona to price will actually matter. My product's $49. An email marketing specialist who is fairly junior, I think is going to need a quick verbal approval as their junior role. So they'll have to probably ask their boss, but it shouldn't be a big deal. For $49, it should be almost a no-brainer. But when you get to director level and up, a director of email marketing probably doesn't need any kind of approval for my product. What you're going to want to do over time is stress test that product price against the role if you don't really know how to price your product. So again, I picked an arbitrary number, 49. I thought it was cheap enough, but not too cheap. I would actually make a little bit of margin on it if I do the work. So that's how I made my decision, but it wasn't scientific. I'm going to go and test this now. How do they measure their job success? So an email marketing specialist likely is measured by how individual campaigns perform within their company. And they likely report to the director of email marketing. This is really, really important because when you're about to go and talk to customers, even when you're running demos, regardless of what type of business you have, it has to come back to the value. And if you think about this more junior role, the email marketing specialist, you have to understand how they are going to be measured by whomever is going to be the decision maker that they need to bounce this price off of. This is going to be very similar for your model as well. While I don't know your pricing, I will tell you that this conversation, earlier you can have it to understand who the decision maker is and what that chain of command is, the faster you're going to be able to close deals once you get people into your ecosystem. A director of email marketing is measured by overall email performance over time when looking at their entire team. And this person probably reports the VP or the CMO or the CEO. So I did a little bit of research here. I have a little bit of personal experience in the email marketing space, but I went out and I had did some research to understand what that reporting structure looks like. And I took my best guess at what this all will look and feel like inside of an organization. Now, how do they currently handle or solve for the problem that you've got a solution to? An email marketing specialist likely is going to be reading up on best practices and experimenting a little bit as they think about improving their email campaigns. But a director of email marketing is probably going to be talking to peers. They have a more holistic view of email in general, of the industry. They're going to look at people and tools to improve overall impact on that company goal that they have around email growth. Okay, so again, this is very role centric, but for all of your personas, you want to get to this level to truly understand, at least going in, how do you think about what their needs are? And then we're going to walk through all the scripts to validate or invalidate your early hypothesis. Is there a large enough pool here for you to build a business on or for you to target? Do some research. LinkedIn Sales Navigator. There's other tools out there that you can use that will help you just suss out the size of the business, do Google searches, talk to friends that work at these companies, talk to friends of friends, poke around and have conversations if you're unsure of how big this pool of potential audience actually is. Most of us, though, when we're getting started, you can kind of skip this step and just kind of get into doing the work. Next up, we're going to build the role matrix. And what the role matrix is going to be the precursor to the outbound scripts and outreach scripts that we're going to write. I will see you then.